Guess what? Fresh new cut. Oh, kimochi. Yes, it feels so good. Your boy feels like a brand spanking new man. My goodness. Old Spice commercials. Here I come.
This new Old Spice shaver is so amazing.
Before we get to all that good stuff, let's christen this new haircut with some Black Clover content, which your boy hasn't gone to for a very long time, since I guess the break started with the Lucius and of course Julius content, because that took over. But right now the final saga has started. Things are getting spicy because I get the feeling that this dude Lucius is about to wash a lot of captains, even more devastating than Lucifero did. But I do for this video want to talk about the previous arc, kind of giving you my stance on that arc, the good things, the great things, then the bad things and the horrible things. And I'm gonna say great and good and bad and horrible, but particularly for bad and good, not necessarily they're actually good or they're actually bad, but more so some things could be just okay, relatively speaking. Like, I'm just saying good and bad as a general sense, where I lean towards the negative or I lean towards the positive when it comes to the good and bad sections. But when it comes to great or horrible, that means that I really enjoy this moment or this particular thing, or I really hate it. That's what I mean. So that being said, let's dive right into the good components for the previous arc, the Spade Kingdom Raid arc. First of all, the good I thought was, number one, the entrance of Noct, the vice captain of the Black Bulls. He was a character that was shown like 1 or 2 times as like a silhouette, but we never actually saw him in real time until this arc. And him actually having this unique devil magic with 4 separate devils, and then him teaching Asta how to use the power of said devil, I thought was a pretty good thing. That's what it did. The natural progression of the roadmap for Asta to get stronger before, of course, facing a new powerful enemy, and in the process, not a new character, but a very important character, a core character of the Black Bulls that has never been there up until this arc. And seeing how, off the rip, Noct had a very different mindset compared to the rest of the Black Bulls, which was very interesting. Things like, for example, the greatest people are those who are good from the beginning, or just because you do good deeds doesn't mean that you're going to be rewarded for them. Things like that, off the rip, did pique my interest when it came to Noct's character. The fact that Noct overtly hated Yami, which is very counterintuitive to the rest of the Black Bulls that all openly love Yami. But at the same time, he did have those moments of give. Like, for example, he did care and admire Asta's decision not to make a completely dominant contract with Libe after their fight, or later finding out the reason why he can never forgive himself for the death of his brother Morgan when he tried to dominate Lucifero. Noct off the rip was very interesting, and of course later on in the arc, I thought was a very good character, really well fleshed out, and ultimately I think he is a very good addition, somewhat contrary to the actual mold, but still a very good addition to the main cast of characters and of course to the Black Bulls. After this, real quick, we have, I think it's pronounced Elysia, the strong magical region where the elves' new village are right now, where we have Noel and company. They were sent to after Vanika's assault ran the Heart Kingdom. And we actually have confirmation now that one of the twins in Tetsuya who survived because of Nero's actions, their descendants actually live in this elven village in Elysia. And I get the feeling that in this final saga, they're gonna play a much bigger role. And then of course, in this place, you do have the Dryad, and you have a way for folks to get stronger by learning the elves' ultimate magic. And Elysia being introduced, I think, does expand the world building the story in a good way, yes. After this, we have Lasita and the Libe flashback. These components in the flashback, I think, will be pivotal later on in this arc, this final saga. Like, for example, we still don't know where Lasita got the 5-leaf grimoire from, or why her body would steal magic in the first place. And I think these things are gonna be important later on. Like, who was Asta's father? Things like that. But in of itself, I thought it was a pretty good flashback because it does give Asta and Libe a much stronger connection now, because Asta's mother, Lasita, is also Libe's adopted mother. And that emotional connection that they had with Asta's mother, with their mother, quite frankly, that does give them a much stronger bond compared to other devil unions. And you can even argue too, as well, other spiritual partners, like whether it's Undine or Salamander, even you can argue Sylph. Their mother did die to protect Libe, and of course had to give up Asta, even though she firmly didn't want to. So that flashback, I think, was a pretty good flashback. It does also give you more insight on Lucifero, and obviously I think it's going to play a bigger role in the future of this arc, this final saga, kind of revealing more about Asta, his heritage, lineage, his mother, his father, stuff like that. After that, we have Rosalie. Rosalie using the Queen of Briars. Both the blue and the red rose I thought was very impressive. And I do like seeing her kind of master the curse, have the true red roses, the cursed blue roses to suppress actual curse magic against Megicula through the big upgrades that she got via the mana method. So Rosalie gets 2 fat thumbs up easily. After that, Asta's first devil union to defend the country in chapter 282. Very, very satisfying, especially knowing that he was threatened and he was disparaged by the nobles like Dominato and all these people, and he was actually defending the country. All of them are watching Asta defend the country from this ancient demon, like this biblical ancient demon, and he's doing so in the place of the Wizard King, Julius, who at the time couldn't get it done. So it's almost as if like he, Asta, was the Wizard King, like the first Wizard King of the country, defending the country from annihilation. Yes. So I thought that was very satisfying and a very good play on Tabata to have Asta be the one to actually protect the kingdom from another ancient demon that was on the precipice of destroying the country. Duh. After this, we have Noct and the Morgan flashback. A pretty good flashback, I think. Kind of, again, fleshing out more of Noct's character. We find out more about the Faust family, more of Yami's past. The introduction of the Supreme Devil of Time was mentioned here. So Megicula wasn't around back then as a Supreme Devil. It was Astaroth. And then we actually see for the first time Yami Smoke in this flashback when he first meets Noct at Morgan's grave in chapter 287. It does do a lot of, I think, nice things when it comes to world building and of course for characters as well. Absolutely. Now after this, we have the existence, the reveal of the Saint stage. And this stage, I think, is actually a pretty good stage because it does make sense to the degree of, if you're a spirit host, you can gain access to a greater degree of power if you can actually reach that stage in the first place. And seeing Noel's spirit dive, the Saint Valkyrie armor, I thought was clean as all hell. So particularly, it is the first Saint stage, Noel's spirit dive, that I do like the most. The other one I'll get to soon enough later on in the video. But in a general sense, I do like the avenue that the spirit hosts can actually attain a level of power, which I think makes a lot of sense. So in the future, Fuego Leon has that avenue of power because I think it's very clear now that Leona is surpassing her brother in Spade. But in the future, he could actually achieve, if not already have, Saint stage. Which if he does, that'd be dope as all hell. After this, we have the Longris and Finral stuff. For the first time working together and trying to take down Xenon in chapter 308. I thought that was dope as all hell. Because of course, during previous arcs, there was a lot of buildup for the Finral and Longris stuff. And then working together for the first time against another spatial magic user in Xenon, I thought was so fitting in so many ways. And when they combine together, they are so crisp and so clean as a unit. It just so happens that at the point in time, Xenon got the Devil's Heart, and Longris' magic couldn't destroy the heart. If he did not have the heart in the first place, that would have been a fat, huge W for those two. But alas, Tabata had other plans, unfortunately. Now after this, we have Yuno, specifically Yuno and the Spade Kingdom heritage. Very, very interesting. I will say that the star magic is kind of wild. It's actually pretty insane. Because him having 2 grimoires, it makes sense given how the other twin that did not survive in Tetia's body, that soul is now within Yuno. And that wind magic is actually its magic. Just how Vanjit and Patry can be 2 souls in one body, therefore have two different types of magic. But the fact that Yuno could not only have the star magic, but in that moment use it so effectively and efficiently to fight against Zenon, that was pretty insane. that was pretty busted. And in a general sense, when it comes to his heritage in this country, it is full steam ahead for the idea that Asta can be the Wizard King of the Clover Kingdom, and then there could be Wizard King of the Spade Kingdom, and that would be Yuno. By birthright, the throne of the Spade Kingdom is his. But obviously, he'd want to actually earn that, not necessarily just have that by default. And of course, obviously, there is the fundamental, long-standing promise, the dream of both Yuno and Asta to become Wizard King. It's just that now, obviously and clearly, there is an avenue for both guys to get what they want in a general sense. And this goes double at the end of the arc, where you have his mother being confirmed alive, and the rebellion forces all taking the knee to Yuno, and they want him to once again return to the Spade Kingdom. So, ultimately speaking, someone has to lose the dream. Whether it's Asta or Yuno, someone has to lose the rights to be Wizard King in the Clover Kingdom. Yuno can lose that race in the future, and that's okay, obviously, because he can be the Wizard King of the Spade Kingdom. After this, real quick for the good section, you have Noel and Nozel avenging their mother, freeing her soul after being Megicula. Very heartwarming, very good stuff, obviously. Then there was that hype when Lucifero actually first halfway manifested. Plus you have the Supreme Devil of level number 2, Adramelech, did I say his name? Whatever. That was pretty hype when they thought they had won. In comes Lucifero, half manifested, plus another devil. Okay, so that was very hype. Then you have later on, in chapter 321, Seke's regrets. Seke, the meme, the Hercule of the series, regretting not trying to get stronger. He had so much time to improve his skills, but all that time was squandered away on worthless things, and when push came to shove, here he was essentially worthless, and here Asta was making supreme gains as well as Yuno. Duh. And then finally, on a very good note for sure, was the shadow magic plus the dark magic, the kids' playground, Yami and Noct. The combination magic I thought was very, very dope. On a personal level, you can see how well those two jive. What Morgan said in the past about how both Noct and Yami are like peas in a pod, and they work well together. And you can see how his shadow magic plus Yami's darkness magic actually amplified the ability of the devils that Noct had, and that ability was pretty powerful, pretty busted. In the face of Zafiro, of course, when he got serious, okay, like not a problem. But in a general sense, it was very impressive seeing those two combine and make that a reality. And very fitting, it's at that point in time when Lucifero actually acknowledges the power of humanity. And also one last thing too, a quick note to Zora. Zora actually blocking Lucifero's punch and then returning that to Lucifero. Oh yeah, that was dope as all hell. So that does end the good section for this video. There are more things, but they're not, I think, as good as these things that I mentioned here in this video. But there are a select few that are great, truly great. So let's get into the great section of this video. These are the things that got your boy super hyped. That were like a step above the rest. This is where Tabata shined the greatest. This is where the hype was outstanding. We hit the Nitrox. All cylinders blast off. We went turbo style. This is where Black Clover for the last arc was at its peak. Number one, at the very beginning of the arc itself, the tension. The tension. Wow. Yami is captured and the Golden Dawn decimated on all fronts. The very beginning, 261, this was some excellent tension going into the arc. And obviously seeing the saddened and horrified faces and expressions of the guild members. Tensions between the captains themselves when they're having their meeting. And of course, one of the few times Asta loses his mental fortitude while crying. This, I thought, going into the arc was really damn good. Oh, hell yeah. Because this arc was a bit different than previous arcs in terms of the gravity of the situation. the Golden Dawn, the strongest unit in the entire Clover Kingdom, decimated. And Yami, the backbone of the Black Bulls, captured on the heels of them beating Dante? Yes, this I thought was spectacular tension going into the arc, absolutely. After that, it's actually clear understanding in terms of world building of how the underworld works and the ritual of the advent of the, I'm gonna say the name, I don't care, Quaiflaw, whatever it is, dude, whatever, yo, Quaiflaw, the damn tree, okay? The tree that goes in the underworld, okay? This Quaiflaw tree, just deal with it, I don't care. 7 layers with Vibes and Yami being sacrificed. And there are 10, particularly 10 devils that match the Tree of Quaiflaw, and then it goes deeper and deeper and deeper, and the stronger the devils are. So level 1, level 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So I do actually like that concept of how the underworld is structured, because almost like in a Yu Yu Hakusho sense, it's like we're going from D class to C class to B class, A class, S class, double S class, all the way down the bottom. I did dig that for damn sure. Now, things wind up changing later on in the arc, and I'll get to that in the bad section of this video. After this, we have, of course, Ancient Demon, Mythical Demon versus Mereoleona, the Queen. Woo! Crazy start in chapter 274. And I gotta give big ups. It is what it is, okay? Personally, Mimosa is my #1 girl in the series. It is what it is. However, I can understand why people call Mereoleona the Queen, especially after 275 when she walked out of the magma. Oh. Even not. Oh my, wow, the rumors are true. You're so stunning. Damn. I can understand why people at that point in time called her the Queen. Yes, because that was a very powerful scene. However, I still kind of put her at #1. I am duty bound, not dookie like you go to the bathroom, duty bound to keep Mimosa at #1. So, that being said, I do respect Mereoleona on many fronts now, absolutely. And in terms of power, I have always continuously respected her. And the Hellfire Incarnate is a damn epic ability, especially going forward into the arc where we see her continue to fight against the Ancient Demon, how she gets hotter and hotter and hotter, and she beats it. Then they're on against Zafiro. Dude, she is actually continuously non-stop getting stronger against Zafiro, to the point where he has to acknowledge, wait a minute, hold on, this woman, what's going on with this woman? She's kind of crazy. Yeah, the Queen! So, yeah. She was amazing. She was amazing. After that, your boy is called the King of Lightning for a reason. Ultimate lightning magic, lightning battle fiend. Oh, yo, woo! Luck in chapter 284, epic. That was a damn cool stance, a damn cool ability. I like how it looks a lot. The design is epic as all hell. And Luck, of course, has been one of my favorites in this series, without a doubt. Your boy does have favoritism when it comes to certain ability types, and lighting is clearly one of them. So Luck coming in there and blitzing these mid-class devils, yes, that was cool as all hell. After this, I think it's fair to say that this could be the fattest W to All Black Clover. Fattest W, like the pinnacle W in the entire series. Secret Flame Magic Soul Chain Deathmatch. Magna versus Dante. I mean, the revenge of the peasants. Zora's teachings really paid off over the past 6 months for someone that clearly doesn't have an affinity for this type of bookworm stuff. Actually sitting down, reading the textbooks, learning actual scripts, and yet Magna studied. He took the 6 months, studied his ass off, And the results, albeit it's a one-time thing. It's a one-time thing. But during the course of this time skip, he probably has it again. But that one-time move was phenomenal. Actually taking half of Dante's magic and then going old school Yu knife edge deathmatch. Yusuke versus Chu, Magna versus Dante. And they're just duking it out like mad lads. And then even though he still has the recovery magic, Dante, he is so used to using so much magic that when it runs out, it completely shocks him. Like, what? I can run out of magic? Me? Of all people? And then Magna laying those haymakers, that uppercut, Luigi style. And then taking that final shot to the face, and then, seeing Asta and Luck, Magna's boys, watch him defeat the guy where Yami and Asta and so many Black Bulls had to team up together to beat this dude. Yo, and it's done in such a perfect way. It makes so much sense to actually go through that process and get that W. And in the process, really go through outstanding character development for Magna Swing. And how that even affects Jack the Ripper and his take on the peasants as a commoner. There are so many things that Tabata orchestrated perfectly with that Magna moment. Arguably is the best moment in the entire series of Black Clover. And the fattest W in the entire series of Black Clover. Yes. Love that moment. Love them to death. After this, we continue with the greatness. Henry and Gordon. Oh my God. Gordon. Ooh. Gordon! The last name deserves to be called Ramsey.
That's cooked.
Yes, it is.
That's raw.
Yes, it is.
Because he was cooking. This man was able to turn the power of curses into a strength. Modified poison curse magic, curse worker's neighbor. It was so dope. So dope seeing that in 312. And now Henry could actually pinpoint his magic absorption and target more specifically. It was unbelievably satisfying seeing those two guys, Gordon and Henry, work together and be that phenomenal, be that studly in the nick of time to save Yami and Vengeance. And that combo must stick. That combo has to be a permanent combo moving forward. If you got to put a ring on it, I do not care. All right, it's 2022. 2023 gonna be in a few months. I don't care. Put rings on it because that is a match made in heaven. Oh, please. Please. I like seeing that a lot. I really did. That was so good, so good. Then, listen, even though I love the Magna moment, when it comes to actual style and design, no panels were even as close to as cool, as Asta's Devil Union 4th Sword Demon Slayer. And then later on that same chapter, the Demon Slayer Infinite Slash Equinox. That after Yami's attack, oh my God, that was so damn dope. Just to get Lucifer to half capacity, true. But yo, that is the sexiest panel in the entire arc by far. Arguably in the entire series. Those two panels. I spent a lot of time reading that panel over and over and over again. Live on stream and even afterwards. It's such a cool, dope looking panel. Those panels were so damn cool. Honest to God, well done. I love those panels. Love them. And then finally, of course, we end this arc off on a wild. This went trending for a good reason. Because it just so happens that Julius Novachrono has a little bully in him. Oh, oof. Woo-hoo-hoo. Bully Maguire, aka Lucius Zogratis, came out to play at the very end of this arc. And yeah. It wouldn't surprise me if this person is the prima genuine villain of the whole series of Black Clover. And honestly, rightfully so. This is some intensity. There are so many things moving forward in this final saga that are going to be so important. But I would say, off the rip, a lot of folks are going to get decimated. Lucius is here, and his power, after consuming Devil Hearts, should be substantially higher than that of Lucifero, which is insane, just even saying that. But yeah, very, very, very likely. So the final saga, off the rip, starting off on a very, very high note. And a lot of folks were talking about it on Twitter, which is why at the time was trending very hard. Now, the great and the good are done. The video is a long video, but I don't care, because now we have the second half of this, which is the bad, okay? Now again, I will reiterate here, the bad section doesn't necessarily mean that these things are like truly horrific, but more so just things that I lean negative towards in this arc, absolutely. So now let's get into the bad section of this video. First and foremost, while I do like Jack's power-up in 278, when I look back on this arc, Jack's flashback, it's really not a good flashback. His dad being a hunter, he died. I killed the bear that killed my dad. Oh, okay. Well, I guess I'll join the Magic Knights now. Nothing really impactful in the slightest at all. Like, not even close. Very forgettable. Like, I forgot even it existed up until I actually read it again. Wait, hold on. There was a Jack flashback? Yes, there was. And it was... And even though Jack is a commoner, not a peasant, he's a commoner, so him being a captain of Magic Knight Squad is very impressive, obviously. And his whole clique is filled with commoners to kind of prove the point where even commoners can be elite magicians. However, again, that flashback lacks a lot of substance on so many fronts. Maybe in the future there'll be more, maybe, but for the time being, nah. Hell to the nah. That flashback sucks. That's number one. Number two, the Diamond Kingdom. The Diamond Kingdom continue to be lacking. They just suck. They just flat out suck. They get shafted constantly. Lotus, he's one thing. He's already had a lot of components for his character in the past. And when you read the manga and the manga only, Fonzel Kruger, Dominante Code, and Mariella are... they're really weird. That whole situation is just a mess. And you have to read/watch other material to fully understand what is going on there. Morse comes in there out of nowhere like, hey, I was exposed by Mars. Like, it seems like Mars, after the Witch Queen stuff, did what he did, and then the entire Diamond Kingdom got shifted around and so on and so forth. Okay, that's cool. Nothing, though. The Diamond Kingdom, they're the worst kingdom by far. The worst kingdom by far. In terms of lore, in terms of world building, in terms of focus and character focus, they just suck. Honestly. It's like, what? I would hope maybe in the future that the things involving the dwarves and Charmy, and maybe even Gnome, because if there is a Dryad, there's a Salamander, there's an Undine, there's probably a Gnome as well for a spirit. Okay, they're probably going to be in the Diamond Kingdom somewhere. So in the future, there are avenues to kind of expand the Diamond Kingdom stuff, but they need it, and they need it desperately. Like, no. They need it desperately, and somehow, some way, the Diamond Kingdom is to play a role in this final saga, and this should be the time where we get the dwarf stuff, hopefully, and the gnome stuff as well, if gnome's even gonna be important. I'm praying that we get something from the Diamond Kingdom, because in this arc, they get shafted again. After this, we have the story of the two ancient demons. The one that we see invade, or try to evade, the Clover Kingdom, that's stopped by Asta, and the other one that Marileona fights. And essentially, their backstories are pretty poo-poo. Very vague. Nothing of real substance for creatures of that magnitude. Two royal youths who were close friends, but their affections turned to hatred, and they became demons. The ancient demons going to the series. Now, to be fair, at the time that was leaked, So not necessarily ancient in terms of time, but still that same design, that same status of like an ancient demon type of entity. In terms of world building and lore, at least they should be very substantive, but they're not. Two youths who are close friends. Maybe there's a parallel. Maybe there's a parallel between these two youths and Asta and Yuno, but it's like the bad ending. What if Asta and Yuno want to like hate each other? What? That needed a lot more, I thought, for a backstory. And looking back on it, absolutely it did. So maybe in the future there'll be more, but if there's not, I'm not surprised either way because they're both dead. So maybe, I mean, we'll have to wait and see how this works out. But that was something that, again, could have been a lot better. After this is where the devil stuff gets very for your boy. So remember what I said before about how I thought that the actual original system of the Tree of Qyphoth, the Tree of Qyphoth, where you have these 7 levels, and then each gate opens levels, and then you have these demons that pour out from the levels, right? I thought that was pretty good. A lot of tension, build-up, suspense, and so on and so forth. Well, it just so happens that 2 of the Supreme Devils circumvent all of this. And it's like, wait, hold on. What? What? So this tree thing is like kind of worthless.
That is correct.
Particularly for who? Megicula. Megicula appears in the flesh because, and I quote, preparations for a descent are in place, and 3 powerful female mages are in the area. Then, it's once Vanika and Lolopechka dies, her manifestation is complete. So then, wait, hold on. Why would it matter if 3 powerful female mages are in the area? Well, it seems to actually talk about Aesir, Noel's mother, whose soul is still tied to Megicula. Oh, okay. All right, that's something, I guess. So, powerful female soul, fair enough, fine. Lolopechka, of course, Vanika as well too. Okay, fair enough. But Noelle is kind of out of the picture, even though originally she was in the picture. It was kind of weird. And then to add even more worthlessness to the gates themselves, she says that she can manifest by doing this malevolent femcantation. So then all she needs is Vanika and Lolopechka to die, and then that would complete the cycle for her manifestation. So what? So it is kind of weird because, again, the gates for her are particularly pointless. It's just a matter of, hey, Vanika can die, Lolopechka too, and I already have the soul of Aesir, and I can manifest just like that. And it makes you wonder, hold on, why didn't you do that off the rip? I guess because she did like Vanika, she was very interesting, she's very fascinating. But at the same time, as a cold-hearted devil that feels no emotions, your intrigue should be circumvented by your logic of, hold on, I can just manifest right here, right now. This is what I need to do. All I gotta do is kill these 2, and that's it. I'm in. I mean, she could manifest partly because Vanika was like near death, but at the same time, when the first gate opens, there is 100% unification between her and Vanika. So ideally, she could just control Vanika and then just manifest by killing her. It's weird. But nonetheless, again, we do circumvent the gates because there's no point to the gates. With this malevolent femcantation, she can just appear after those 2 die. And to me, that was kind of, no. I was not a fan of that whole thing at all. Lucifero is slightly better. He is, since in his case, given the Lasita flashback, he could control lesser devils that are even in the human world, like Libe. So when level 2 opens, he can fuse all the devils of level 2, I guess outside of the supreme ones in level 2? Maybe because Adramalek, again, whatever his name is, he's there, we see him, and he is a supreme, according to Noct, he is a supreme devil of level 2. So let's just say he fuses most of the devils in level 2, and then at the same time, in a weird way, does fuse with the Tree of Qyphoth itself to create the body that he needs to actually manifest. But again, we're leaving cats in level 3 through 6 essentially nowhere. They're just hanging. They have no value this whole arc because the supreme boss level dudes are literally skipping levels and they're just gonna try to manifest. Like outside of Beelzebub, who's like a chill guy apparently, he's doing nothing at this point in time. Like he's chilling. Magicula, I'm gonna circumvent, and I already could apparently. Lucifero, I'm gonna hell yes, I'm gonna circumvent big time when level 2's open. Again, the premise just seems to be super worthless when it comes to the levels and the Tree of Quaithlaw, whatever it's called. Also, those 3 or 4 gigantic spheres of the tree roots around Lucifero when he was manifesting, worthless. At this point in time, they seem to be worthless. So this whole thing with the initial system actually being kind of meh, who really cares, that does rub me the wrong way. It is what it is. I'm not gonna lie to you. After this, we have some stuff. So recall I said before that I do appreciate the Saint Stage stuff with Noelle. Clearly I do. Off-screen Train of the Elves, cool with me. However, in order for Yuno to beat Zenon, not only does he gain Saint Stage in the nick of time, just perfect timing. You couldn't make it up. Well, technically you can, because it is a manga that's not real, it's all fiction, but you get my point here. But then also, in the process, he also gains another star to teleport in chapter 310. He gets Saint Stage, and as a result, he is stronger. And because he is stronger, he can have now more stars to teleport. This one was really way too convenient. And that one did, not gonna lie to you, rub me the wrong way, even compared to other Black Clover fights in hindsight. Yes, it did. After this, who on God's green earth, honestly, who on God's green earth are these Heart Kingdom fighters? These Spirit Guardians are worthless. The only one that is of any note is Gaja. That's it. The rest of them, Portrov, Folga, Smurik, Serato, and of course all the names I had to actually look up here. They're there in this arc to fight against Father, even though Gaja is so damn clean, comparatively speaking. And even though they've been around for like a long period of time, they're just there as off-screen plot devices to make the main cast of characters stronger and sweep fodder. That's all they're there for. So they're almost like the Diamond Kingdom guys. They're not as bad. They're not. Oh, let's be very frank here. They're not as bad as the Diamond Kingdom boys, but they're still bad nonetheless. That's for damn sure. And now finally, the last section of the bad. And this one was actually borderline horrible, meaning that I don't like it regardless. Like regardless. However, it does make sense. That is the one thing I think is undeniable. It does make sense as to how it happened, but I still don't like it because in this case here, I think what's important is in the macrocosm of the arc itself, its execution. How did Tabata execute this moment? Whereas Magna was perfect and so damn good. This one, no. Not so much, not even close. And this one is, unfortunately, but it is what it is. At the end of the Lucifero fight, it is Asta and Libe's true devil union. First and foremost, the Asta and Libe flashback about Lasita, where their memories and their minds start to converge together, made it pretty damn obvious, very damn obvious, that they're going to achieve a new power in the nick of time to defeat Lucifero. That is, again, their true devil union. Unlike Noct, who has a subordinate and master role with his devils, Asta and Libe are best buds. They're essentially brothers. And for them, it's 50-50. As a result, they can achieve a higher union of devil union. And in this case, the foundations make 100% sense. 100% sense. Like, fundamentally, it's on point. Because moving forward, we see here is Asta being able to completely erase any magic that he touches or attempts to touch him. This is the cornerstone of Lucifero's abilities, where he is said time and time and time again to have extraordinary amounts of magic. But Asta completely erases magic by default whenever it touches him or vice versa. So Lucy could actually do a whole barrage, a whole gathering of punches in Asta's direction, but he could just sit there and block the attack like this, not a big deal. Because the moment the punches touch Asta's skin, the vast quantities of mana that back up that punch disappear. And as a result, so much force of that attack disappears in the process. And again, it's a much higher Devil Union level than what Noct can achieve, or even let's say Vanica or Dante, because Libe and Asta are not in a subordinate master relationship. They are friends, they're brothers here. The main reason why this whole thing is in the bad section and borderline horrible is because even though the fundamentals are clean, the execution sucks. It sucks. Because even though Lucifero is at half capacity, people, Asta and Libe in chapter 328, they roll. They smoke Lucifero. It's not even a competition. They destroy him. I'm like, what the main baddie, the guy that got so much hype and so much build-up and blah, 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 gets smoked? Smoked. Even though he got a power-up, true, it's very surprising to see someone with centuries of existence and combat ability still rely on just doing the physical punches. Like, what? What are you? Lucy, what are you doing, dog? And it's particularly weird when we saw this dude damn near counter everything that anyone could do to him in chapters 325-26. This man was studly in those two chapters, but 2 chapters later gets smoked. What? No. That was a very unsatisfactory chapter, 328. And that was a very unsatisfactory defeat, I think. Even though it made sense, in hindsight, particularly in hindsight, I'm not too thrilled to read that chapter and be like, okay, wait, time out. Like, really? Like, he just actually just smoked him. There was no contest. And this is the main bad guy. Not some scrub, the main bad guy. No. So that was borderline horrible because there were things that were worse, and there was one thing in particular, Lucifero himself, that I really, really didn't like. But again, I can understand the fundamentals. They make sense. They make sense for that moment. They definitely do. With Asta and Libe and the true Devil Union. Fair enough. But yo, Lucifero should not have gotten smoked. Period. No. And that, my friends, is the bad section of this video. And now we get to the horrible. Boy. Horrible is short, but these are the things that I absolutely, positively, no matter what, do not like. At all. At all. And one of them ties to Lucifero again. But before that, let's get... The Megacula fight has issues, obviously. And particularly, one of them is Rill. What? Twilight Valhalla. No. No. Twilight Valhalla boosts the magic of any companions within its range and makes it so they won't die, no matter what damage they take. No. Real spell is actually the most busted spell I think I've seen in Black Clover. It's like Overwatch, Baptiste Immortality Field. Way too damn powerful. Like, yo, what is going on here? These people are taking so much damage and they're literally not dying. Now, yes, of course, the duration of the magic and Real's old man supply matters. Clearly, obviously. But the spell rubs me the wrong way on so many fronts. Particularly seeing the spell kind of track to where Gaja was and then make Gaja fight when he had the Ichigo treatment and had a hole through his body. No. Whoa. Good lord, yo. Nah. That was absolutely something I did not like at all. Twilight Valhalla should be scrapped. That ability should never appear again, ever. In fact, there should be a thing where Real says, for some weird reason, he can't access that ability anymore because he has a mental block. Like he has a painter's block, like a writer's block. He has a painter's block and he can't use that skill anymore. Please. That has to be nerfed immediately. That thing's insane. No, please. That's number one, Twilight Valhalla. Number two, Mimosa is still the best girl in the verse. But Ultimate Plan Magic, Flower Princess Utopia, it's some hard cap. It's some hard cap, dude. Rill and Rosalie are one thing, but even Gaja, who had a hole in his body, got restored. It's like a souped up version of Gray's transmutation magic. Plants that can rewrite reality. Freaking Phoenix down. Even Yami and Noct at the end of the arc, they have holes in them too, and they can be restored by her magic. It's like, wait, whoa. I mean, Tabata, for the most part, when it comes to like good guys, they won't die that often. Fair enough, fine. But those three, particularly Gaja, leaves a bad taste in the mouth. Hell nah. So even though I love Mimosa, actually super healing plant Phoenix down magic, but it's too powerful. It's way too powerful. So Mimosa, I love her, but no, that thing I think was too busted at the time. That was also poor execution. Just seeing those three go down. Rosalie, Rill, come back. Okay, fine, I'm cool with that. But Gaja, he literally used all of his magic in one major attack, has a hole in his chest, and he can still come back? Really? Really? Oh boy. After this, a small one, but one that I did not like at all, obviously. Dorothy. Dorothy is my girl. But Dorothy had a fight with Morris, all off screen. Super sad. Super sad. No, because Dorothy is one of those captains that's really sorely lacking in terms of actual character stuff and time, screen time, compared to the other captains for damn sure. So Dorothy needs a lot more, and her having a fight that was off screen, someone that's, let's say, of the same ilk as the actual Demon Triad themselves. Even Lucifero teamed up with Morris, and that's all off screen? The entire thing? So, the whole thing with Lotus betraying Morris, I mean, that was kind of a given since well before chapter 311, but Dorothy's what I care about the most, obviously. And Dorothy being off screen, I thought was a miss, big miss. And then finally, but I think the most important thing that I really detested in this whole arc was Lucifero. Lucifero running away before his defeat in chapter 329. That just sucked the wind out of the sails. What little we had left of this main fight between Lucifero versus the entire clique. Again, I understand the fundamentals of Asta's power-up, but the issue for this whole thing boils down to execution. The same issues I have for that one in the bad section are the same fundamental issues I have for this thing, Lucifero, and him running away. I get the reasons why Lucifero ran away. The same reason why he ran away from getting spooked by Asta's never give up, surpass your limits mentality, his will, is the same thing that happened with Lilith and Nahama in chapter 290, where they felt fear. They felt fear from Asta. And for devils of the top class of each level, or of course the supreme devils like Lucifero, feeling fear is an extremely rare and unthinkable thing. But Asta puts the fear of the anti-magic god into these devils, and they both bail. The difference here is, again, execution. The build-up and expectations for a top-class devil from level 1 versus the king of the underworld, the Kingu of the underworld, are on a completely, vastly different scale. It's cool if some level 1 dudes run away, but the cream of the crop, albeit at 0.5%, I get that, but still, the cream of the crop? The king of the underworld, bailing from a heavily weakened Asta. Now, to be fair, he himself was cut into pieces, but still active, but nonetheless, nah. And it's also on top of Asta just rolling this dude in the previous chapter 328. And on the heels of that, the previous chapter, where you have the Asta and Libe flashback, which is the most obvious tell that we're going to have an Asta power-up to defeat Lucifero. Him running away does, I think, sully a large amount of the time and build-up that Yuki put into building him up. Absolutely. And I think he does it ultimately to subvert expectations about someone like the King of the Devils. However, if Game of Thrones taught us one thing, is that subverting expectations isn't always the best choice. I did not like it back then, and I absolutely positively do not like it now. And that, my friends, is the video. The great, the good, the bad, and the horrible for the previous arc of Black Clover, the Spade Kingdom Raid arc. I honest to God still think, to this day, that the Elf arc is the best arc in Black Clover. I am not trolling you. I'll say it again. To this day, even after the Spade stuff, the best arc in Black Clover is still the Elf stuff. It's still Patry. Still. But this final saga, headlining Bully Maguire, hey yo, this really could blow that arc and all other arcs out of the water. So we'll see in the very near future how things play out. But now you know my stance, my whole stance on the last arc of Black Clover. And let me know yours, of course, in the comment section down below.